Some notes from Sarah, who won't be here.
Yep, I put those in to the notes already. Almost there.
Some
Okay,
notes from Sarah, who
I believe we are live. So welcome all to another town hall. I'm just going to share my screen for some notes here. Second to rearrange my windows. Okay, on we go. All right, so thanks to Sarah for picking up some of the recent posts from the hub. We'll take a look at those. Arjun, let's see, runs the Jackson Reed High School e-NABLE chapter in DC. He visited a senior program, gave a presentation on what our organization does and the power of 3D printing. Met with people who are going to design some assistive devices to improve their mobility. We also talked to one man who has 4 of his left fingers amputated but still has a thumb. Does anyone have suggestions? So for that one, I'm thinking the kinetic hand, which does have a thumbless version
Hmm.
included, might be worth trying because I think there would be enough room because, the kinetic hand has that extra sort of padding they put down in the interior cavity. If you just leave that out, you'd have extra room in there. I think that might be okay.
Well,
Uh,
Lucius suggested the
oh, look, yeah, somebody suggested that. Somebody said they should take a look at the kinetic hand. And he says there does have, well, they said it has instructions on how to customize it. I'm pretty sure there's an STL included in the download that has the thumbless version. So he's already on that. So I think this one's taken care of. Arjun's going to take a look at the kinetic hand. All right, Thierry, hey, let's see what he's got going on. Just so you know, our new website is now available in French, English, and Spanish. So this is a new initiative from e-NABLE France aiming at producing and distributing free 3D printed technical helpers. So this is other
oh,
assistive devices. Fantastic. And I like the e-NABLE 360 tag. I think that's a really nice thing to consider for more use outside of that region too.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Um,
really interesting.
I'd like to see all
Uh,
caps on the able, but
yeah, agreed. But otherwise, look at this.
yeah.
They've got a nice catalog
Oh,
start.
great.
Now, hold on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, look at this. And they got nice. This is what I wanted to see over here. This is what I wanted to see in the NIH catalog. This is exactly what I had in mind. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is really nicely done. Types of disability, uses, difficulty. I mean, this is fantastic. These
Um,
guys, they do such good work, man.
well, and it's in English.
In English. I mean, this is fantastic.
So I'd like to go. I'm just wondering whether we should just,
Just promote
you know,
this.
right. They declined taking on what we've been doing. On the other hand, they may have taken a leap to the next iteration we wanted to see anyway, which is to
Well,
say, let's go beyond prosthetics.
yeah, and that's fantastic. The only thing I wonder about is I'm thinking on the logistics side, if we were to start directing our, global volunteers from anywhere to this, our volunteers are going to want to be able to participate in making these devices, but then we run into this whole shipping conundrum. Um,
Well,
so I wonder if the guys in France would be willing to work with, matching outside of their region. If there's somebody that needs a device in the US, if they'd be willing to connect with a US volunteer and that sort of thing. I mean, then this becomes the platform
right,
we need, really.
that's what I'm thinking. That's right. Um, so I am going there myself right now. I click on request a realization. What does it? What?
Well, that's for, okay, so they need to be logged
Uh,
in apparently, but that's for if you want a design that's not in the catalog. So that's not just asking for a device.
sorry.
That's up here, how to receive.
Okay, click.
They got a
You
nice
go
three-step
register,
process. Yep. And then
request
request
an
an
object.
object. Available makers can consult the list of pending requests, and then they'll contact you to determine the specifics. So, I mean, really, it's a matter of can we get our volunteers plugged into this? I assume this also ties into that mapping system that they had for the other
Oh,
website.
what happens when you choose become a maker?
I'm guessing you'll fill out a registration form. Choice of devices, first meeting. Okay, so this is the process for actually making a device for somebody.
I don't see them being in the loop on this process.
This is
See,
a,
I think this may be more self-serve than what they're currently doing with prosthetics.
it might
And
be.
that,
I'm curious about this. Step 4 says if the recipient is close enough, you meet him to hand over the requested items. I'm curious why the title is discount. That might be a translation issue. I mean, I think
huh.
that should be deliver. Yeah. Um, in any case, I think this is worth a follow-up meeting with Thierry just to brainstorm of how this site could be leveraged outside of France if they're
Right.
open to it. It's really well done. I don't think we could easily duplicate this. Seeing as how our last project stalled in the middle and wouldn't have taken as much work.
Oh, right. I agree. Why don't we send him a link to this piece of the recording and
Yeah.
say, let's talk.
Yeah, I would like
And
that.
when I say we, do you want to do it or shall I?
If you could, I would appreciate it. I've got a lot of meetings today and I will probably forget.
Okay. All right. I'll make a note.
And we'll see if that shows up in our action items from the AI. All right, Nyan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Successfully created a Phoenix V3 and would like to take the next step to donate. I've reviewed the cases on e-NABLE Web Central. Doesn't seem like there's opportunities to help. Not surprising. Is there someone I can talk to or get connected to that can help me? Yeah. So this is the same old question. How do I find people to help? Um, I don't think we have a good answer right now. It's something we've been working on for a long time. We have a website in development that would attempt to address this challenge, but we do not currently have volunteers available to work on completing that project. And so we don't have an immediate near-term solution on this. I don't know. What are your thoughts, John? I mean, our usual response is go to the chapters map, contact chapters in your area, see if they might have any cases you can help
You
with.
know, um, frankly, I don't remember if we've talked about this, Jeremy, but my latest thinking on this is that the hub is functioning as a default self-serve matching system.
Yeah, I had the same
And I
thought.
think it is working in its modest way.
Well, that's what I'm doing
And
now. Whenever somebody reaches out to me at 3D Universe, which happens fairly often to say, hey, how do I get a device? I'm sending them to the hub now instead of, elsewhere. So I say just post something in the hub, introduce yourself, let them know what you need, and they'll take it from there. So that might be the easiest way for now.
and rather than an enable matcher, an enable tracker whose job it is to notice these requests when they come in, keep
Yeah.
an eye on them, ping them if they seem to have gone dead, etc.
Yeah. Put a
That
tag,
could be our
put a
our
tag on them so we
solution.
can find them easily.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would
I
be.
haven't found the right person to do that, uh, and I did talk for a couple of hours with Melvin and Mariella, who, however, I'm sorry to say, have been silent over the holidays, so I don't know where they're at.
Okay.
But that's my vision for what we do next is to just celebrate and back up the self-organized system that the hub is doing
Right.
and not try to big an automat, not try to build an automat, but do work on adding some oversight and tracking.
Well, so somebody should reply to Nyan here. Is that something we should ask Sarah to do as a follow-up, or are you able to post something?
Um, yeah, well, it's our usual note. I'll respond to it momentarily.
Okay, great. And welcome. I want to say welcome to those that have joined in. Vivek, Yayuan, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and Jenny, welcome.
Hello.
And one more email here from Ermal. Let's see. So he's looking to make the prototype, wants to purchase a kit, but expensive shipping. Yes, that's been a problem. We've done our best to bring those shipping costs down, but shipping to some countries is pretty expensive for us. Let's see. located? Oh, here, there's some hidden comments. Okay, so he's in Albania. First try, okay. Bill of materials is different depending on the hand or arm model. We can send you a kit from France. I'll need these details. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So it looks like Thierry has offered to send him the materials he needs. That's really generous. Thank you. And I think that takes care of this one. Great.
Um,
Okay. I was just going to say before we go further, if you don't mind, I'd like to give the folks that have joined an opportunity to say hello. I don't know if they were joining to talk about something in particular. Vivek, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good.
Good,
Happy New Year,
Nothing in
Vivek.
particular. How are you?
good.
Happy New Year.
No, just Happy
Just
New
joining in?
Year.
Wonderful. Good to
Just
have you.
joining, just trying to catch up. Yep. Yep.
So we know Vivek. I don't think we know the other two. Jenny, are you able to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm a student intern here with e-NABLE 3D program at Brandeis. So
Brandeis,
I'm
excellent.
gonna work with Professor Ian Roy and Alan for this semester, and Ruby. She's not joining us today. We have three here. So
Gotcha. Okay, so this is the internship that we had talked with him some while back.
I suppose yes.
Okay. All right. And is that the same for you, Yayuan?
Let me just jump in here. So I'm Ya Yuan. I'm also a I'm a second year Brandeis MBA student, and I'm currently in this class with Ian Roy. And so now I'm like a board member of e-NABLE to help solve the problems. Yeah, if he ever brought up this. And Jenny and Ruby, she just mentioned, so three of us, we're like the project we're going to work on is to build up, like revise the NIH 3D website.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Were
to
you here in the meeting when I showed the website from France and commented about the sidebar, which is exactly what I was hoping for the NIH site? Did you see that?
what you mean today?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I joined like
Let me pull that up
10
again.
minutes
It's
later.
worth taking a moment for Thierry. So they have this new site, enable360.fr, and you might want to make a note of that so you can look at this. And this is a site where they're expanding beyond prosthetic devices, which is something we've been working on for a while, and offering other types of assistive devices like you see down here, just for task-specific devices and things like that, which is exactly the kind of thing we want to be doing as well. But more importantly, they've built a wonderful site here, and when you go to actually browse the devices, this left-hand column for filtering is exactly what I was hoping to do on NIH. You can filter by the type of disability that they're trying to address, the type of use, like what types of task is the person looking to do, the maker skills, which I think is less important because they're all 3D printing right now, and then the difficulty, easy, medium, or hard. Right now in the NIH, the filters are very generic, and it's like, what material and stuff like that, things that just aren't really relevant to us. If I'm looking to make an assistive device for somebody, these are the things I want to look for. Like this person has, motor skill issues. They're trying to work on, just doing daily life tasks and be able to filter based on things that are meaningful to us. And most importantly, the difficulty. I don't want to do something that's hard. Maybe I want to start with something easy, and allowing you to drill down based on those. So that left-hand sidebar you'll see is very different in NIH right now, but they did say that we could customize that. They'll help us with the coding if we sort of do the design work and say what we want those filters to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
this and also your expectations on this. And this is exactly what we are gonna, work out eventually. So we want
excellent.
to make the NIH 3D website like this, like more straightforward, but also include like all these fantastic things from e-NABLE, you know, just for like better user experience and stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So we
Hey, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
just listening. So these we do have like different phases, like plan for different phases, and hopefully we can build up something by May. And also we can also come up with a sustainable plan, like even if we are not going to be in this project after May, but like if someone else is going to take over, like how they can maintain the website and also, keep doing this.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to have you. And you said Ruby is your teammate?
Yeah. I think she's in class today, but
No problem.
yeah, we'll meet. Like, I mean, we'll
Wonderful.
meet Sunday. Yeah.
John and I are
Hey,
both
Jeremy.
available if you need to meet to have further discussion or get details. Yes, Vivek.
Sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to
It's
interrupt.
okay. That's all I was saying.
Okay, so I tried logging into the French site. It looks like the login credentials are not the same, right? As for
I'm guessing I didn't even try to log in, but I'm guessing they're
oh,
the
okay.
same.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So,
going to be true. You're going to want to sign up.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you get to that list, Jeremy, on their site?
Just on the from the homepage, if you
Yeah.
just scroll down a little bit, it says the latest devices available, and there's a button there that says see all devices.
Oh, okay, got it. Yep. Okay, thanks. Yep. Yep.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to the team, guys. There's lots of opportunities for work here beyond even the NIH site. So who knows what the future holds if you or others on your team end up having availability beyond that. I think there's some very interesting discussions that could be had about our challenges with matching people needing devices with our volunteers,
Right.
and how we can.
Well, I have some questions along those lines.
Yeah.
Are all three of you working on the very same thing, or I mean, for example, Yawan, you mentioned yourself and Ruby. Jenny, are you part of that same team, or do you have your own mission?
We're the same team.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is basically so I'm in this course with Enroy, and this is like my project for this course. And this project, like, we hired two student workers who are like Jenny and Ruby. So three of us were on a team leading by Ian to figure this out.
And what is the class, just out of curiosity?
It's like leadership organization.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. And like I said, after you dig into it, I'm sure you'll have more questions. Reach out to John or myself through the hub, and we'll be happy to help.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. On we go. I noticed the e-NABLE fund has been used a little bit. We're down to 80, which is still a very healthy balance, but at least it's being used a little. We got our recurring meetings, which I'm not going to spend time on. We have that in the hub for upcoming events. Just check there on the hub forum page. We've been talking about using this scribe tool, and Jonathan's not here, so I can't get an update, but this is to sort of start to document things within the community. I'm signed into the wrong account now, but the idea is that you can use this tool to very quickly and easily document a process where you basically just do whatever you're doing, and the tool captures each step as you go and documents it for you. And so it's an easy way to document sort of web-based processes. And so we've started to use that for e-NABLE. Jonathan documented, I think he did the badging process and one other, and I think he was going to do the Lumio process next. So we'll check in with him next time to see how that's going. But the hope here is that we can start to build up a sort of a library of process sort of documentation to make it easier to sort of hand things over to different people as needed, since turnover tends to happen a lot in our community. So that's something that we have in the works. Keep that in mind, Yayon, since you mentioned that part of your project will be making sure that sort of you're letting others know how they can take this over. You might want to use this platform. We already have an e-NABLE account set up. You can use this to document, how to set things up on the NIH site, and that way it'll all be in the same place.
Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted to share an update. Oh, do you have something, John?
Yes, I just want to provide a little more briefing to this new team from Brandeis.
Mhm.
As I understand it, the point of this program is for you guys to become sort of interim board members for an organization. So let me point out that e-NABLE is not a typical organization. There is a 501c3 that handles the money. I'm the president. It has a board of directors, but really the point of the financial organization is really just to handle the financial transactions of the community at large. The community at large rallies together through these town hall meetings and through the hub, which is a wide open participatory collaboration space.
So it creates some challenges, right? Because there is no central authority. Nobody has the ability to say, this is how we're going to do things going forward. It's not like a traditional company that can do that. We are just a big group of volunteers that have to come up with some way of agreeing how to move forward without anybody dictating. So it creates some additional challenges.
And this is all somewhat documented on the hub, and you should spend some time there. My real point is that while you and Ian are focused on the NIH 3D hub, if you're really playing the role of advisors to the board, you need to understand the larger context and the needs of the community you are serving. And while it is absolutely true that getting the NIH 3D hub into good shape so that it represents us and provides the service it's supposed to is important, it's not really central to what we do. It's not critical to what we do. And there are some real challenges that you might want to also think about. In particular, you should be aware, and forgive me if all of this is clear to you, but I think it would be useful for you to have an orientation to maximize the likelihood that what will you do will have lasting impact on e-NABLE. The critical issue we have for e-NABLE in the United States, which is where e-NABLE began, even though it's now a global process, is this imbalance between makers who have come on board in the hundreds and thousands because they have 3D printers and they want to make prosthetics, and recipients who've come on board in the tens and 20s because there aren't that many people in America who really want 3D printed prosthetics.
Or
now,
there aren't enough that know about us and what we can do. I mean, part of it
that's
is
right.
getting the word out about e-NABLE.
That's right. So we are currently working, and not very effectively, but persistently, at increasing the supply of people who know about it and want the devices. And we're doing that in collaboration with Madison Bondoc of e-NABLE DC, DC being also the home of the NIH 3D of NIH. So she's someone you should know about and might want to compare notes with. Secondly, we have been pushing, and we've had a breakthrough today in pushing people away from the notion that they're here to build prosthetics to the notion that they're here to use their maker skills and their 3D maker skills and 3D printers in order to help people with disabilities, which is a generalization of the e-NABLE model. And this e-NABLE France 360 site, which we've only taken a close look at for the first time today, is a really good step towards redefining what e-NABLE is and giving our makers a wider range of things that they can do in order to scratch their itch of wanting to use their 3D printers and help people. The other big challenge we have, so the first challenge has to do with the mismatch between makers and recipients, and the solution is to try to get more recipients, but also to broaden our sense of what it is we make, because that also broadens the recipient pool. The second big challenge we have, it's always been the case, is that because we're a distributed community, it's very hard to know what all is going on in the community. And in particular, it's very hard to answer the seemingly simple question, well, how many people has e-NABLE actually helped, and how is it working out for those recipients of yours? We and e-NABLE France have tried a variety of techniques for getting a good answer to that, and it hasn't worked. As I mentioned earlier, the latest answer, and it's one I want to invite you guys to think about, is that the hub has become a self-organized matching system where people who need a device or know someone who needs a device, they go, they describe the case, and then a volunteer pops up and says, I can help with this. It seems to be working pretty well, but we don't really know if it's working really well because no one is tracking it systematically. So a really good process for you guys to put in place would be to think about monitoring the hub and searching back through the posts of the last year, identifying people who've said, I have a case, can you help me with this? And to track the history of that case, reaching back out to the people who were involved and developing some sort of lightweight system for tracking and ultimately supporting this self-organized matchmaking process which goes on in the hub. If that got farther along, and this is an idea in process, but 3 Brandeis interns working for a semester might be able to make a dent on this problem.
I don't disagree, John, but I think that's probably something we'd have to take up with Ian because it sounds like he's pretty much given them their assignments.
Well, we will take it up with Ian, but they can take it up with Ian also.
Yeah. Just saying, I know they're already kind of heading down this path, and what I will say is, while it's not our most critical need, the NIH project does seem like it might be a good place to start, just because it's very clearly definable and achievable in a fairly short time frame.
Well, all right. I take your correction. You 3 can take this to heart or say, I don't know what he was talking about. We're working on the
yeah, I mean,
NIH 3D site. But let me say, the NIH 3D site should, I think, include the kinds of filters that Jeremy pointed you to, and it should point people to the hub where they will find a community of people who do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, because it's just a good practice, you might want to think about some system by which you can tell whether people who find devices on the hub are actually successfully doing what they're supposed to do. I'm sorry, people who find things on the NIH site are able to follow through and actually deliver the goods. Until we have that kind of tracking, however you do it, we're just not going to have good answers to those questions. So I just wanted to give you, I wanted to channel the needs of the community, since you said in your course you're dealing with the board, you're interacting with the board. So I've now channeled the board of directors here and now encourage you to work with Ian to think about how best to use your much appreciated service, either just for the NIH site or for some of these larger issues. That's my orientation for you from my point of view.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Thank you so much for bringing this up. So, so when I talked with Ian, I already know like e-NABLE is a huge like organization. You mentioned these challenges in the US, but there are like many parts in other like almost all over the world. So I know there are a lot of things to do. And actually so next weekend there's a Days Hack. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a Brandeis activity. It's like a hackathon during the weekend. That I will be presenting e-NABLE like this. The NIH 3D project will be one of the like project or problem we will solve, and we might recruit some students, like more students for that. But it's not just that, like you mentioned, like there are many other things, like other pinpoints or other things that we can improve for not just NIH 3D, but the like entire e-NABLE organization. And if those students, they're interested in this organization and they want to contribute based on their own professions, then they're welcome to come up and bring up the idea, and we will organize all of these and summarize it and see if we can do something further. And but yeah, just as Jeremy also mentioned, so this project, the NIH 3D project, is more like at the end of the semester there should be a deliverable, and that's something like I will deliver by the end of the semester. But yeah, definitely while we're doing all these things, so not just this project, we can try to align what you've just mentioned into it. As you like you said, there are no like feedback. So if someone posts a need like a year ago, like what end up to them? Did they really receive the help? Like maybe on the NHCD website, we can add like a feedback button, like a year later, if they can come back to their forum that they post, and then just share, yeah, I received help from which you know, uh, the club or the chapter, then there will be the data, right? We can easily collect those
Very good.
and got the feedback. So that's something we can do for just one simple thing that come up real quick in my mind that we can add to our project. But yeah, we definitely can, as a board member, as you said, we can definitely think more, not like beyond this, to see how we can do these things better.
Okay. Thank you for listening
Yeah.
and hearing.
All right, I have just a little bit of show and tell for a project I've been not really directly involved with, but my brother has. My brother lives in Galena, Illinois, which is a very old town, used to be a mining town, and they still have an old blacksmithing shop that operates there using the old techniques. And my brother volunteers at this blacksmith shop. Met a teacher who was born missing most of her, I think it's her left hand, and she's left-handed, and a lot of people think that's weird when you say that, but you can still have a sort of a left-handed preference even though you're missing your left hand. Obviously she's learned to do things with her right hand, but she's still left-handed, and she's very interested in blacksmithing. And so there was this thought of, can we come up with a prosthetic device that actually has the hammer attached to it and can be used for blacksmithing? And obviously this needs to be a pretty robust device to be able to do something like that. This team that includes members of the Illinois Assistive Technology Program has been working with this person for a while, and they just documented their work on the IATP Makers site, which is part of the Illinois Assistive Technology Program. And they did a great job with their documentation. I'll have to try to get this into the hub later so others can look at this, but you can see some of these are some of the devices they took inspiration from up here, especially this one on the right. This was one that my brother actually presented to say this is kind of what he was thinking. And they went through a lot of iterations, and I won't spend time on all those details, but what they ended up with is this beautiful carbon fiber design that has the hammerhead attached. And I'll just share this short video clip of the sort of the final testing here. You can actually see that she's able to get some good strong action on it. And actually didn't look, I don't know what this one is over here. Oh, so that's him testing. Oh wow, he's really that's my brother there, by the way. Yeah. So it looks like they came up with a pretty robust device.
That's
And
great, Jeremy.
they've shared the STL file. They got feedback from per what we were just talking about. They got feedback from the user. So they just did such a great job on this.
Were you involved in this?
Only by making the connections and then keeping in the loop on the emails as they shared progress updates, but I wasn't involved in the actual work.
Well, so this is a really good example, right, of a non-prosthetic which really addresses a problem.
Yeah.
And that 3D printing and other maker skills can really support. I hope you'll put a link, a post into the hub about this.
Yeah.
And make the point
That
that e-NABLE mechanical hands is not the only thing we should be thinking about.
Right.
That's a great story.
So I will share that. And on that note, actually, I have to apologize. I'm going to have to take my leave because I have a number of other meetings coming up and I have to get my dog out for a walk before. I think if I leave the meeting and assign you as host, John, I think the live stream will continue. So if you have anything else you'd like to continue with, you can.
Well, sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
And
nice
I'll probably wrap
members.
up, but you can get out while you can.
Sounds good. Nice to meet you, Jenny and Yayuan. I'm very glad to have you involved, and good to see you, Vivek.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So, and then there were four including me, and 5, including Vivek. 4, including Vivek. I am going to Uganda in a few weeks and will be meeting with an organization called, I think, World Action Fund, that does support for disabilities, and they're very interested in adding prosthetics to their repertoire. The main point of my trip to Uganda is something entirely different. We have also worked in the past with the Lake Victoria Disability Center, which is in the neighboring country of Tanzania. So I'm just shouting this out to say that I'm going to be in that region of the world. And if there are people who have connections or opportunities they want to let me know about, I expect to be there from roughly February 11th to March 7th. And that's my little announcement. Are there any other topics we should talk about before we adjourn? Vivek, do you have a meeting coming up?
I've been trying, been trying to find some speakers. It's pretty hard to find anyone who's out
Vivek,
there that
have you connected with Troy 3D printer and his new motorized kinetic hand?
Troy 3D printer, is that the name of an organization, or what is
No, it's well, I'm not sure, frankly, but I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to show you something that I really want to get us connected to, which is right up your alley. So here I am looking for Troy Day printer, is what I should have said. And here you see that the guy has adapted the kinetic hand, put some servos in there, and developed an iPhone as well as an Android app. And it looks pretty damn good to me. And here is his most recent post.
So he's from e-NABLE France?
He is from e-NABLE
Looks like.
France, yes. No, actually, that's a different device. So he has done a different thing, but this is his latest post. So I'm going to take this link, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to put it into the chat for you. And here is a bionic e-NABLE device developed from the Kinetic with an iPhone and an Android app. So it's got all of the techie stuff that you like, Vivek. But I'll tell you the truth, I would like to explore a simpler, an adaptation of this, which is more robust. In talking to people in Africa, I think this kind of thing would be too many moving parts, too brittle for a robust environment. But a single motor that would do a complete, something that emulated the functionality of the Moto gripper, right? One mechanical button, which causes the hand to open for a second and then form a good grip adaptively, would be cosmetic and yet functional and might survive the rigors of actual use. So I'd love to talk to Troy Day, if that's a person's name. I'd like to know more about him and what he's doing with this, and would love to see it as a focal event for your next Bionics meeting.
Okay, I'll be in the US until the end of January. So I think we have one more Friday before I take off. I'll be going to India and other places for about 6 weeks. So
Cool.
I'll try to set something up, maybe even next week if he's around, next Friday.
If he's around, if you can connect with
Yeah.
him.
Or if
Cool.
not, it's going to have to be in March.
That's okay. That's okay too.
So just for Yoyon and Jenny, I I'm part of a small, tiny little forum here in e-NABLE that's trying to keep track of activities that are going on in the bionic world. So it may be a little far out for the model of 3 e-NABLE in general being simple, robust, low cost. But it's a good idea to just at least keep an idea on what the bionic side of the prosthetic field is. So we've had speakers come in. Ian has, I've talked to Ian. I've been to Brandeis. I was there a couple of months back. I saw your labs. It's really pretty phenomenal. So he knows about all this stuff. So just let you
And
know
I've
what I'm
just
up
put a
to.
link to Vivek's, to the Bionic Designs space within the e-NABLE Hub. Brandizers, I will point out that there are many spaces within the hub. And to find them, you can either scroll through this long list. Most of them are not active, but they're all there and they're all available for further development, or you can create one. So it might be interesting for you guys, if you don't have one, to create a project space just by clicking the button within the hub to create a space in which you can do all sorts of things. When you create a space, it can have a wiki, it can have posts, it can have other things as well. Just recognize that that's, again, the hub is sort of the true hub for the international e-NABLE community. It's focused on English, but as you've seen, e-NABLE France uses it also. And it's the closest thing we have to a central information source. hub.enable.org.
Got it. Good to know. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
So maybe we are done now. Any other topics anyone wants to bring up? Okay. It's a pleasure to meet you guys. I'll look forward to seeing what you do, and I am at your service, and you presumably know how to find me.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Have a
Bye.
good
Happy New
weekend.
Year,
Guys.
everybody.